Welcome. The SAS Viya Release Highlight Show. I am your host, Anna Brown, and I can't wait to get into the release updates from version 2021.1.4. What are we going to talk about today? Well, we'll talk about how you can have better control over your flows in SAS Studio. Who doesn't like better control of things? We'll see outlier or anomaly detection in SAS Visual Analytics, reinforcement learning on GPUs in SAS Visual Data Mining and Machine Learning. We'll look at some interactive modeling capabilities in SAS Visual Forecasting and see Proc Deep Causal to answer those what-if questions in SAS Econometrics. Then we'll look at some streamlined search capabilities and overall improved user experience in SAS Information Governance. Senior Product Manager Kumar Thangamuthu will tell us all about that in the second half of the show. So lots to get to today, but before we get going, I would like to orient everyone a bit here. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your comments, feedback, and questions in the live Q&A, which you can see in the right rail on YouTube and down below the discussion on LinkedIn Live. So you can chat with us wherever you're streaming this from. We can't wait to hear from you. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to give it to you, the rundown.
In this release, we'll cover some new usability features, including the ability to copy and paste, as well as add multiple selections to a flow at the same time. But most exciting, the ability to control the submission order. So taking sections of your flow that you'd like to order in a specific way and using swim lanes to indicate here is the order that I'd like and being able to rename them and move them around. There's an awful lot of functionality here. Also new in this release, the import tool has the ability to read fixed width files, so you can indicate exactly what column data starts or stops in, or you can make use of a load structure, so you define what the variables need to be and where they are in the file, and bring that information in a layout file, which then allows the import tool to fill in the blanks for you in terms of the structure of the columns, formats and informats, and basically it's a really nice way of being able to reproduce reading in the same file in multiple ways.
In this update, there are going to be two capabilities I want to spotlight. The first is outlier detection in Visual Analytics. Sometimes your data has values that are outside of the norm, and those outlier values can impact your aggregations, your visualizations, and how you interpret your data. So now in Visual Analytics, we're providing you with insights into possible outliers in your data so that you can investigate more deeply. The second capability that I'm going to be showing you today is an accessibility feature, and that is support for a high contrast background map in Visual Analytics.
In this release, from a programming perspective, we've extended our reinforcement learning offering to support training on GPUs, so you can often train policy models much faster now. And we've added the ability to specify constraints that need to be satisfied when auto-tuning models, which will direct the optimization process to ensure that a certain level of model performance is achieved, at least as much as possible. In Model Studio, we have a few new features to highlight. We've added a new supervised learning node for training Gaussian process regression models in your pipelines. And we've also added a node for training factorization machine models. So we're continuing to expand the options for what types of models you can train in these pipelines, pulling in all the powerful modeling techniques that have been available programmatically for quite a while now. And finally, we've added the ability to impute missing values using decision trees, which can provide much more accurate estimates of those missing values by basing it on the relationship between the variable with missing values and the other variables in the data.
With this release, we are continuing to build out the interactive modeling capabilities within Visual Forecasting. In this release, we expand the custom model creation capabilities within the interactive modeling node to include the ARIMA model family. Available model options are split into two categories. The first group is related to model specification. These include functional transformation options, and these are limited if there are any 0 or negative values in the historical data. The ARIMA options, this is the autoaggressive, differencing, and moving average components denoted by lowercase p, d, and q respectively. And seasonal ARIMA options for autoregressive, differencing, and moving average denoted by uppercase p, d, and q respectively. The second group is related to estimation. These options include the estimation method, convergence criteria, number of iterations, delta, singularity criterion, and an option to restrict parameters to stable values. In this release, we are also adding an option to automatically remove archived overrides from within the UI. This is needed for performance reasons, as a significant number of archived overrides can accumulate over time as new time periods are added and previous overrides move into the past. When the auto delete option is enabled, all existing archived overrides within the project are automatically deleted. And after a data update is made to the project, potential archived overrides are automatically removed during the process of preparing for overrides, consequently improving performance.
Proc Deep Causal, which calls the Deep Econ action set, applies deep neural networks, or DNNs, a powerful machine learning technique to estimate the average causal effect, and performs policy evaluation and policy comparison. Here is an example of how you can estimate the effect of a small discount for the songs an online media company sells on its revenue, and how to evaluate a personalized pricing policy. Proc Deep Causal applies a semi-parametric framework that uses DNNs and complex influence functions. However, your code may look as simple as this. There are no options for DNNs, and all technical details are taken care of by Proc Deep Causal. Of course, DNNs are fully supported with tens of options. For different models, you can even specify different DNNs with different training hyperparameters. In that case, your code may look like this. Proc Deep Causal can estimate 11 types of causal effects or parameters of interest for both the full population and the subpopulation, including, of course, the average treatment effect and the average treatment effect for the treated. Besides the parameter estimation, Proc Deep Causal also supports the policy evaluation. Here, my policy is to give discounts to users who are older than 25. S1 here reflects this policy and is specified in the data table. Here is the average effect of my policy on the revenue, and here you can see how this policy compares to a base policy, which in this case is the random assignment of the discount. You can request the details of this estimation as an output data table. The parameter beta is of a particular interest. It tells you the effect of discount on the revenue for each individual. In this example, for some individuals, this effect is negative. So based on this information, you can construct your own optimal policy. You may be promoting a specific product with discount, adding new features to a website, or increasing investment for a sales team. No matter what, if you are answering what-if questions and want to come up with best strategies, then Proc Deep Causal can help.
What a great lineup, team. Thank you for all the updates. Man, that impute missing values using decision tree feature in visual data mining and machine learning reminds me of a semi-recent tutorial that was published right here on the SAS Users YouTube channel on missing value imputation by Jeff Thompson. If that is your area and you want to learn more, check it out. That's a super informative tutorial. All right, so we've got lots of chatter on LinkedIn, and I see where everybody is from. I see you, those in Portugal, Brazil, Colombia, Canada, and Germany. Of course, I'm in Cary, North Carolina, and so is the production team. I'm so glad to be here with you today. I see all of you. All right, so now I get to welcome our special guest today. Welcome back, actually, Kumar Thangamuthu, Senior Product Manager for SAS Information Governance. He's going to show us what the latest is with that product in the release talk. Hi, Kumar. Welcome back. What are you going to show us today?
Hi, Anna. Thanks for having me again. Today, we're going to look at, like you mentioned, the SAS Information Governance, some of the really exciting features that we've released. So I would like to kind of like bucket the features that we're going to look at in 3 different categories today. Improved search and able to discover multiple assets. And finally, flexible governance, right? And once you have a lot of features, we wanted to give the ability to the customers and the users to be able to govern the functions as well as the assets in a flexible way, because every organization is different in the way they handle governance, right? So those are the 3 type of features that we will be looking at today, and I'm really excited to talk about that.
Excellent. Great context. Well, let's see the demo.
Here we're looking at the SAS Information Governance main homepage, and with the search, discoverable options, and the assets the user can look at with reason and favorite collection. The first feature we're going to look at today is the keyword search. I'm going to use a keyword that I already know to show this feature, the sanitizing violation, which is a keyword available in a long text field in a table. In this case, the inspection violation table. Let me open that. So side note, long text field are columns that contains comments, reviews, like Amazon reviews, where you would want it to text mine the data and make the keywords that are more prevalent in the comments and reviews to be able to discoverable in the search, right? So in this case, we are looking at violation comment. And I've used one of the keyword, and we were able to find the data set. And that works for any data set with the long text fields, reviews, and comments.
That's cool.
Yes. Yeah, this is really useful for users or data sets, rather, that are more customer oriented, where you would see even comments and reviews from multiple languages, right? So that's really useful to discover those data sets. The second feature we're going to look at is a deep link URLs. So let me open the same data set here. So previously, the user, when they open the data set or a table, this would be the main overview page they would be able to see, and they can copy the URL, and every time a table is being used with that URL, this is the page they would land. But right now, the user can move to any of the tabs, and each of the tab has its own URLs. In fact, the descriptive measures, metadata measures, data quality measures have its own URL, and the columns have its own URL. For instance, imagine if there are thousands of columns, and as a data engineer, a data steward, if I find a problem or quality issue with the column, I can select the column and then copy the URL or bookmark the the URL, and then share it with other users, kind of creating a collaborative environment. So the other user could be an engineer who kind of takes the data, adds quality, improves the quality, and cleanses the data and makes it better a data set for other users to use. So it's easily shareable as opposed to sharing the data set. And this goes into the granular level so they can jump directly into the column information.
Okay. Yeah, I can see how that would be really handy to have those individualized links, kind of anchor links, if you will, to different pieces of the database.
That's right. Yeah, it's kind of, we all been used to using a browser and jumping into different tabs, copying the bookmarking, the URLs.
Yeah.
With the idea that we wanted to come back and easy to get to the area where we were and skip all the steps that we initially took to get to the point, right? So it saves a lot of time, and going with the theme of this whole product to save the time the users spend on identifying, good data and more time in, creating reports and models, right? And I think that goes with that theme. And the third feature is the ability to discover multiple assets. The product is called SAS Information Governance, right? So So far, the user has been able to discover data sets and tables. But with this option, the feature, user can discover other assets as part of the Viya, available as part of the Viya platform. If you can see in this screen, we have a model, a studio flow, which is kind of a data flow, intelligent decision, data plan, which is used to prepare data, an in-memory table, the intelligent decisioning lookup tables, and Visual Analytics VA report, right? And there are other assets as well. But just to highlight some of the assets that essentially covers this whole analytic lifecycle, right? So this is really useful when a user is kind of starting with the data, using the data, in fact, preparing the data, and then using the data to create reports and dashboards, and then creating models to derive some business insights. They would be able to discover all the assets as part of this product and the search over here. So this is really collaborative and also going beyond just the data sets as part of this feature.
Sure. So this is one interface that pulls together kind of all of these different pieces and parts of SAS Viya, is what you're saying, right? It's just one front door to it all.
That is correct, Anna. Yeah, that just for example, if a data scientist, wanted to create a model, and then as soon as the model is created, this is really alive and dynamic. As soon as the model is created, a report is created, another user, if it is obviously access privileges available to other users, the other users can just discover that assets and be able to use it. Prior to this, they would have to go to the specific application and able to see the report and so on. And this makes it more friendly. We've all used to, search either, personally in Google search or any of those kind. We wanted to, go to a single interface and able to find everything that we would be able to see for that full journey. In this case, the journey is the analytic life cycle, right? That involves reports and models, and kind of this interface gives all those in one place.
Sure, and it also makes it information governance that is more accessible and usable for different people across that analytics life cycle, from the data steward, like you said, to the modelers, to the report builders, or the business users. It kind of opens it up for everyone.
That is correct, yeah. And it creates, again, the collaborative, going back to the previous theme where we talked about sharing, bookmarking the URL, and the same over here, right? You're able to collaborate with other users, either in the same team or across organization, sometimes across globally different countries. This kind of, breaks that barrier and easily able to discover assets. And then the fourth feature is, we've kind of touched on that. We can see the table, the in-memory data. Prior to this, the user would be able to discover crawled data, meaning cataloged data for file types, like CAS tables and SAS tables. Now the user can crawl and analyze in-memory data as well. What I mean by that is, in-memory data is the CAS table that's loaded in memory, and they can analyze and find column information, metadata measure information like any other table, and also find information privacy. Also the data quality measures, because in-memory table currently are the tables that are used to create VA reports, SAS models, and intelligent decisions. So this gives really useful option for users to analyze that table that are being used in other applications. Prior to that, user would have to manually or explicitly load the table to in-memory to get this analysis data. And this kind of makes it flexible for them to choose either, I want to see the analysis data for in-memory table or the file type as well.
Excellent.
Yeah, and then the final fifth feature kind of combines some of this feature together in the governance perspective, which is going along the what the product is about, right? SAS Information Governance. How do we control some of the actions the users can take? So in this feature, the users, or rather admins in the organizations, can create their own custom groups. Every organization have their own roles and responsibility internally in our organization, right? So in this case, I've actually created a group called Data Steward, but I can quickly show that. So as an admin, I can go, let's say I have a group in my organization called Subject Matter Expert. I can create that group, save that. So now I can assign users to this group, right? So that creates obviously a custom group, which is already available as part of the Viya platform, right? In this case, I've created a data stewards group, and I've assigned myself as a data steward. Now, how do we use that for the governance part in controlling what actions the user can take? So I'm going to go to the rules section in the Environment Manager and search on catalog. So this gives all the control an admin could take for the specific information catalog application. For this example, let's say I wanted to control or provide the privilege as to who can run the agents. The agents are nothing but in the information governance, who can crawl the data and catalog it, right? So that's what the agent does. And this is the endpoint or the link that does that. Right now, I can see that this is granted for the SAS administrators to do that, but I've created a data steward group, right? So I can click on this and I say, edit this, remove this group, and this kind of gives us better control over the groups. I go to custom groups, I can see the groups that I created, right? The subject matter experts and data stewards. I'm going to choose the data steward group, click OK. I'm not going to save it, but what it does is now I'm the only one who can go and run the agents, right? Obviously, you can add more users to this group. If there are multiple data stewards in the organization, typically there will be one data steward per team in our organization, but obviously it varies from different companies. So that group can control who can run the agent, right? And that kind of applies to other endpoints as well.
Can you apply multiple groups to one scenario there, or would the solution there just be to add more users to one group if you want to open it up?
That is a great question. So obviously the latter is one option, right? You could add more users. Another option is, this is again going depending on the organization, right? What we have seen is some organizations would create hierarchy of groups, right? Data steward, I can see that. Now I have myself as part of this data steward, but data steward typically has more control than the subject matter experts, which means they can inherit everything the subject matter does, right? So what I mean by that is I could go here and then I say, I wanted to add a group inside a group, right? So what this is, now the data steward can do everything subject matter can do as well, right?
Okay.
And I can assign the data steward, which I already showed another one, to the endpoint. Now more users, or rather a group combined with the user, can control together, right? So this is another way to do that with the first option you mentioned, groups inside a group.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Great overview, Kumar. Wow, you showed us a lot of cool features. One theme I definitely pulled out was improved search functionality. What customer feedback led the team to build in improved search? And it seems like you're probably going to continue to do so into information governance.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good question, and also going along with the theme of what we're trying to do with the product, achieve, solve the problem, right? One of the key thing here is we're trying to address the problem of the users wanting to spend less time trying to get the right data, and then obviously go and do other business user type of activities like creating a dashboard or creating a model to derive some insights, right? So going along with that, we wanted to see what other capabilities that the user can leverage to get to the data that they're looking for easily. And along that path, one of the things specifically related to tables with columns that contains long text fields like reviews and comments, like we saw in the demo, it's not like other search. It's not single words that you can search on, because there could be thousands and thousands of words. You can't have every word to be searchable, or in some cases, you wanted to mine the data. And that's kind of what we did here, and offer the keywords the user can be able to search on. And we've had requests on that kind of some of the features that be able to, the users wanting to be able to find data sets with that kind of columns. And that's one of the key thing we wanted to take into account for that feature as part of the release. And obviously, like you mentioned, Anna, the search is the key, right? There'll be more advanced features like that we would be adding to the search, which will further enhance the capability of searching and able to discover the data quicker. And this is one of them, addressing the specific use case, the long text fields, which means any, just to be specific, any field with more than 50 words and so on are considered the long text fields.
Okay, got it. Good explanation there of that text mining integration. So we spoke a little bit during the demo about the fact that you can now access more types of information within information governance, right? It's not just data sets, it's models um, and other types of assets. So this obviously opens it up to different types of users across the organization. And we spoke a bit about it, but can you expand on what this means in terms of making SAS Viya more accessible?
Right. No, yeah. So that's again another good question related to not just information governance, the product that we're looking at. This is across the analytics platform, right? You have models, reports, data sets, decisions and flows, lots of assets, right? When we talk about lots of assets, we're not talking about one team here. It could be a data team, it could be a modeling team, it could be a reporting team, it could be an ETL data engineering team. So one of the problem a lot of companies sometimes face is the interaction and collaboration between these different teams, and the journey of choosing the data and ending with the right models and insights based on the data, so they can make further future decisions, right? So when you consider these two, some of the challenges the organization face with multiple teams, the collaboration between them, this capability to be able to discover all the assets in one platform is really important, right? So regardless of what team you're in, as long as you are part of the team and you have access to some of the assets, you would be able to search and be able to see the asset, and also be able to use that. Prior to that, the user would have to move to this particular application to see that assets, and then if they can't find that, and then they have to move to another applications, because there are many assets that belongs to analytic life cycle, right? And data is one of them, and the report is one of them, and model is one of them. Now they can see all in one place. So essentially, kind of fostering the collaboration among the teams in an organization, and also saving the time, again, going back to the previous example, for them to spend time discovering and then be able to go and start using that asset quicker, right? So that's one of the things we wanted to address here.
Great. And you spoke a little bit about continuing to build search functionality into information governance. Can you give us just a little more detail, just a sneak peek of what's to come in future releases?
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't like a sneak peek? We all accustomed to product releases, either it's iPhone, whatever. We always look for the peak before it releases. So going with that theme, so we again, the improved search, right? So we talk about streamlined improved search. What we are working on, and in the near future we will see that is be able to search easily using suggestions, search suggestions, as well as faceted type of search. We all used to in personal life, Google search and other search engines where sometimes we don't know what we're searching for. We would start using it and then, go along with the path based on the suggestions that's been offered to us, right? So we want to take that into account when the user uses this product to search assets as well. But the search and the suggestions and the values that's being suggested are geared more towards the product, meaning exactly what the user is looking for, not exactly, maybe not 100%, but the suggestion should be guiding them as opposed to the user has to remember what keyword they wanted to search on, what facet they want to search on what type of values are available for that facet that they wanted to search. And they don't have to go jump into the document and look at that. So you want to avoid all of that, again, like saving time. And as they start using the search and the product, it's kind of guiding them towards what they were looking for and getting to the data, close to the data sets they are looking for, and they can obviously save what they did and favorite that asset, and then come back to that what they have searched before as well. So essentially, search suggestions, faceted and keyword search are some of the things I've been working on, and we're looking forward, to talk about that in the near future. And yep.
Yeah. So to clarify, suggestions, you're meaning like type ahead that we see on Google when it kind of
That's
completes
right. That's right.
the
Yeah.
search for you. Okay. Yeah. I mean, who doesn't use that? That's like half my brain has gone toward that. I don't have to think as much when I search on Google because it does it for me. So that's wonderful. They're building that into SAS Viya too. Well, thank you for joining us again today. I'm sure you'll be back to share what's happening in months to come, and we just can't wait. Thank you, Kumar.
Yep. Thanks for having me, Anna.
Sure. All right, another SAS Viya release highlight show on the books. Today, we learned about release updates in 2021.1.4. And I'm sure you have questions or you have thoughts. Still, continue to leave those in the comments on YouTube and on LinkedIn Live. We'd love to hear what you think. And while you're at it, smash that like button or share it with a friend. Share it with all your SAS friends and your non-SAS friends. They might be interested too. We want to spread the word. And the best way to find out about the next show, which will be in October, will be, you guessed it, to subscribe to the SAS Users YouTube channel. Until next time, see you later.